Hi, boys and girls. This is Grandma Sheila again with this week's story. It's called The Very Best Fun. Well, Fred, he looked at the 6 other boys that were standing out there with him on the snow in the moonlight on this perfectly wonderful evening to be out playing. And he said, "Boys, I have the best idea for fun tonight." And then he got all the boys around him in a circle. And he said, "Yeah, do you know what? I heard Mrs. Moore telling one of the neighbors, sometimes she goes and takes care of sick people. Well, she was telling the neighbor that she was going to leave here by 8 o'clock tonight, and she was going to be gone all night sitting with a sick kid." Well, boys, I know what we should do. We should build the biggest snowman that could possibly stand on her little porch and build it right up in front of the doorway, so that huge thing covered the whole door. So when she came home, she couldn't get in her house without knocking him down. Well, some of the boys started to laugh. Then Charlie said, "Well, I have a different idea of some fun." And the other guys, they've been kind of looked up to Charlie. And when he suggested things, they generally did it. Well, he said, "Okay, guys, how many of you have wood saws?" And one guy raised his hand. He said, "I do." And another one raised his hand and he said, "I do," till there were 3 of them. He said, "Okay, you guys bring your wood saws. And then you other guys bring your axes. And I'm going to go home and get a shovel. And one of you other guys could bring a shovel too. Meet me back here about 8 o'clock. What are we going to do?" "Oh, just wait and see." Well, the suspense was enough that the boys all rushed home to get those wood saws and their axes and the shovels. When they got back, the moon was high up in the sky, and it was one of those perfect nights where the moon made shadows from the trees, and it was just a wonderful night to be outside. Well, they all gathered around Charlie, and Fred said, "Now what are we going to do?" "Well, just a minute. We're not there yet. Just follow me." So they did. Well, when they got not too far from Widow Moore's house, her house was just a little house with a tiny little porch on the front. And there, sitting in her side yard, was about a half a cord of wood. Well, Charlie turned around to the boys and he said, "I know that Mrs. Moore is gone because I met her going into town on my way coming back from my house with the shovel. So we don't have to worry about her. And I heard this afternoon, I saw the man delivering this half cord of wood. It was all long lengths of wood. And he said, I heard Widow Moore say, well, if I can't find anybody to chop it up, I won't have any wood for in the morning because I've used all my wood up. Thank you for bringing it to me today. I'll have to find somebody." And Charlie said, "You know, I think it's the very best kind of fun to help somebody that needs something. What do you guys think? We can chop this up, we can saw it up in lengths, and we can haul it to her woodshed, and we'll have it done in less time than it would take for us to build that monster snowman. What do you guys think? Well, there was a couple of them that kind of grumbled. Do work? How can work be fun? But when all the other guys agreed that it sounded like a great plan, those other couple joined in as well. So there was 7 of them to start work on that pile of wood. Well, Charlie, he said, I'm going to go around behind and I'm going to check the door on the woodshed. If it's locked, which it probably is, I'll go around and climb in the window in the back and open the door. And then we're going to shovel a big, wide path from all the way from the woodshed and from the house to the street. So everybody started working with a will. First of all, they took those saws and started sawing off lengths on those small logs. And then when the sawyers got that much done, the guys with their axes started splitting up that wood. And the guys with the shovels started shoveling those paths after Charlie had gotten in the woodshed and opened the door. Well, with 7 robust, muscly young boys, it didn't take them long to do that project at all. And they were so into what they were doing, and they were having so much fun when they got it all done and all the wood hauled into the woodshed and stacked nicely. One of the other guys said, "Hey, I have an idea. Let's all of us walk down to the local carpenter shop. He always has tons of kindling and wood curls and things that are wonderful for starting fires with. If we each brought a big armload back, she'd have plenty of wood to start her fires, and it's nice and dry." So they made a race of going to the carpenter shop. And the carpenter always allowed people to haul away his scraps. So they all got big armloads of kindling, and even some of them got big armloads of those curls that the carpenter had made from planing his wood. Well, they got back and they neatly stored that in the corner of the woodshed. And they shut the door, and in the moonlight, well, they locked that woodshed too and made sure the window was shut. They looked around and everything looked wonderful. And all 7 of them agreed that that was the most fun they'd had in a long time. Well, they all went home, not expecting a thanks from anybody, because surely nobody would know who had done it. But when poor Widow Moore got home that morning, she was tired, and she thought, I should see if there's even one little piece of wood left for me to start a little fire with. I'm so tired after being up all night with that sick child. And while she was thinking about that, she noticed that wonderful path that went to the woodshed out to the street, the path from the street to her front porch that was all shoveled. And she noticed that her whole half cord of wood was gone. Well, just about that time, one of the neighbor ladies came rushing over, pulling her coat around her because it was cold. And she said, "Do you know who did it?" And Widow Moore said, "I don't know. What did they do with my wood?" And so she rushed back and unlocked the woodshed, and there was all that wood, cut, split, and stacked neatly, and even a pile of kindling and wood curls in the corner to start fires with. And she was so thankful. And the other lady said, "I know who did it. I saw them." And then she explained that it was those boys. And do you know what Mrs. Moore said? "Oh, God bless them." And of course, that got back to the boys. And although they had felt that they had good pay for doing that, good pay, what I mean by that, is they got the pleasure of doing something nice for somebody else. But the fact that she was so pleased was kind of like the icing on the cake. Well, boys and girls, you know, I agree with Charlie. The best kind of fun, the very best kind of fun, is one that you do something for someone else in need, and you don't expect anything from it. It gives you the best feeling there is, and that's the best reward. Thank you, boys and girls, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.